Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny Hanna if you don't know me, and I am currently a pre-medical student. And today's video is going to be about how I stay, motivated, right, to do my work, study when times are a little bit rough or when times I don't feel like studying, because it does happen, you know what I mean? For those of you who are students and are pre-meds, they definitely know what I'm talking about. You do get these days where you're not really feeling studying, especially when you're like me right now and studying for the MCAT. So in this video, I'm gonna dive deep and tell you guys what it is that I do and how it really helps me with also time to get rid of procrastinating altogether. So the first thing I want to say just right off the bat is you need to learn to not rely on motivation for everything that you do. If you do that, you're gonna notice that you're gonna need motivation to do your job in the future, which is terrible because you chose this career as a something that you like, and now that you are studying for it to achieve that dream, while yes, it's not always a fun thing to do, it's still part of the requirements that you need to pass through to make it to wherever you want to go. Now, that comes at a price. It comes at a price of dedication, long hours of studying. This is time to get serious, and you can't really sacrifice any procrastinations because this is important for your future. Because you told yourself that this is what you want to do in the future. And that means that whether it's a task you like or you don't like, since you're going to be doing it every day, you're going to notice a burnout really quickly. And when you do that, you're going to want to motivate yourself to do it again and again and again. You're going to want to motivate yourself to keep working and working and working. And at some point, you really are going to run out of things to motivate yourself with, so you can do your work. But that's the problem. You have to realize that motivation is a temporary solution for a current burnout, and you want something to really help you move through these days that you're feeling a little bit unable to concentrate your full mind into it, and that is very common, you know what I mean? Thinking that maybe motivating yourself is going to work. This is the part where you have to tell yourself that no, I chose to do this for a reason. I chose to go through that route for a reason. And you have to try to remember again why you're doing all this. Because if you're always going to require motivation every day to do your work, that means you really don't have that much discipline to really get to where you want to be. And that is a big problem, because in life you are going to face future projects that you would want to achieve, but realize then that it's too much work and you're not going to really be able to do them because you're not motivated enough. That is a big issue, and that can really get in the way of so many of your tasks. First of all, what I would do is to remind myself, all right, am I still passionate about what I'm studying? Now, this is a problem because I am still a pre-medical. A lot of the hard stuff that I'm supposed to do isn't here yet, you know. It's very common to lose sight of that goal sometimes, and that can also be a big player in, procrastination. You feel like your dream is just too vague, your dream is a little bit too far, you don't realize what exactly is again that you wanted to do from the first place. And yes, it did happen to me once, twice, three times. It happens to me all the time, actually. I always tell myself, why did I go through all of this if you feel hesitant about it? No, I don't feel hesitant. It's because of the load of work that I'm working on right now kind of protrudes on the big image at the end. For example, studying organic chemistry, for example, When you're in the core of studying organic chemistry, you're really not thinking about, oh, I wish I can be in the doctor's office right now talking to patients. You're really thinking about, how do I get rid of finishing organic chemistry? And this is the part where I would say, this is the part where you really need to recall why you're doing this in the first place. This is the part where you really need to remind yourself, hey, I'm doing this so I can pass the exam and then get into a great medical school. And because if I do well in medical school, I get to be this awesome physician that I always wanted to be, for example. That isn't always easy and it doesn't always come to mind, but you have to kind of keep that still in the back of your mind, because if you're not, you can lose sight of your end goal very, very quickly like that when you're studying for the MCAT, for example. And that doesn't only apply to MCAT and pre-medical. It also applies to any other major. If you have an exam, or if you have a project that you're currently working on that's really, really difficult and it requires a lot of attention, you really have to think about the end goal. Just keep an image of really who you want to be in your brain, because that's very important. If that doesn't work, then just write maybe the goal on a piece of paper and hang it on the wall. So the takeaway from this little part that I just talked about is basically, stop relying on motivation. It's not going to be a very accessible factor in your future. There will be times where you literally won't have anything to motivate yourself with. Like, people always assume that there's always something to motivate yourself with, like for example, hanging out with friends or watching a movie at the end of the day. If you are constantly needing motivation about things that you're studying, well, you have to know that whatever you're studying really applies for the most part at the end goal. So for example, if I'm studying the MCAT right now, a lot of the things on the MCAT I'm gonna still need when I'm talking to patients when I do become a physician. If I'm talking about, problems in the gallbladder, for example, some of the things you have to know in the biology section of the MCAT, you need to know that in order to be able to talk to patients. So most of the things that you do learn, you kind of hold on to for the rest of your life. Not all of it, but for the most part, you are going to need these little things that you do learn right now to really apply to your future self. Hint, that's why we're learning about them. That's why we are putting the effort right now to do them. People just don't take them for torture. I have to know what I'm getting myself into, right? I'm studying for this, therefore what I'm dealing with next is going to be on this. It must, right? But anyways, I don't want to just leave you with this statement. I want to leave you with some tips that you can help yourself move on through rough study days anyways. Alright, so first of all, keep in mind that in order to really get yourself fully into study mode, it does require at least 20 minutes of getting yourself ready, preparing. Even when you do open your books and you start studying, you really aren't gonna be in full concentration mode within the first minute or two that you study. You are going to take some time. You are going to take about 20 minutes to actually engage of what you are actually studying. And that makes sense, because if I'm studying for chemistry, for example, I'm not going to say, okay, let's define this type of molecule. It's not going to work that way. You need really a few minutes to kind of get engage with the material, kind of remember where you left off last time. And that isn't so easy to do. Your brain always is getting distracted constantly, and so you have to remember, your brain, in order to really concentrate, it needs to really dive in deep. You really need to look over some pages like you do. If you do realize before you're doing homework, you generally tend to look over notes first. You tend to look over what the teacher was saying before, because you really want to recall what everything was going on before. Sometimes it's faster in some people, but you have to know that it can vary from person to person. Another tip I can give you is, if you are having some trouble concentration, I would say, leave your books for a while. I would say maybe do a little bit of exercise. I've noticed that If I do exercise in the morning, I'm much better concentrated in my work. During my study sessions, I'm more productive. And by the way, let's just define productivity real quick. Productivity means getting the most in a certain amount of time that's given. So if you have a few hours to do your work, have a productive mindset before that. And in order to do that, it requires you to kind of have achieved something before. If I do exercise, I just find it much easier to work on my assignments that I'm supposed to be doing and just be a little bit more productive with my time. Because then you know that you were able to get previous tasks done, and now you just have to get this task done as well. Sometimes you just need a constant roll of getting tasks done before you can actually head to your desk or your books to get some work done. And that could definitely help a lot. Let me just put it out there, it does help. So this next tip definitely helps. It's not like you do it that way you can get productive. No, so generally what I recommend is, because I built so many habits in my life. I build a morning routine, I build a night routine, for example. I built an exercise routine. So your brain really loves routine, and if you don't know that, routines are extremely important in your life. And I'm not saying to majorly change your lifestyle. I'm just saying build these small little habits that if your brain gets used to, then it just makes it that much easier to study. You know why? Because if you do build the habit of every day waking up at a certain time, every day going to your desk room at a certain time, every day doing a certain task at a certain time, you really could be surprised at the end result here. You really get to see, oh my god, I've been doing this for a month and I didn't notice how much I got done. And I actually noticed that in my exercise routine. I've completely just changed in terms of mood, in terms of productivity wise, thought process. I really think that you guys should give it a try. Again, like I said, I'm not saying this will change your life, but if you can build little routines that can help you throughout your day to eventually help you with your studying, you can certainly do that. Another tip I'm gonna give you guys is to really make sure that you have a clear mind before you start studying. And what that means is pretty much make sure you really aren't thinking about anything that's bothering you, or anything at all that you have been thinking about for a long time in general. Like for example, really for example, one of my vlogs I was talking about getting this monitor, for example. I got it and I was so excited about it, and I couldn't wait until it arrived. And I was constantly thinking about it, and I couldn't help but think about it. I was like, the monitor, when is it gonna come? And I'm like, well, this is ridiculous. I'm not gonna be able to focus at all in any of my work if I just think about this. You need to figure out what it is exactly that's bothering you, whether it's something nice that you're waiting for, or something really happened a day prior, or something that's been keeping you really away from your studies off for a while. You really need to figure out what that is and really just try to tackle that first. Remember, your health comes first, and it's important to really tackle what's bothering you in order to have a productive life after. And it's very important because if you don't really take care of your mental health, it's not so easy to really tackle any tasks, because you notice at the end that you were sitting for a long time at your desk like you planned, but you really didn't get any much done other than just most of the time think about whatever it is that you're bothered by. What I generally recommend is to maybe every morning sit down, have a conversation with yourself, be like, okay, what's bothering me? How can I make it better today? Is it in my control even? Is whatever I'm thinking about, is it in my control? Can I solve that? And if you can't solve it, just tell yourself, I'm gonna let it go because I have nothing to do with it. I can't really control it. And if you can control it, maybe try to tackle that first. Maybe try to get rid of whatever it is that you can control to help you relax and study better. One last tip I'm gonna give you guys, and that is to seriously keep your phone away. Having your phone on you all time is a big mistake that usually students would do, like, oh, because I get notifications that my professor send through email. Well, you know what? Pull them up on your computer. Make sure that your computer is do not disturb enabled. I'd really just try to avoid your cell phone, because you really get to notice how much work you can actually do if you're not on your phone. Now, having said that, I do tend to FaceTime my friends a lot when I'm studying, because I do like a group FaceTime, and that can actually come in handy sometimes if everybody in the group chat is productive and doing their work. And if it means that you're just FaceTiming them and they're just studying with you, that's fine. If that means you're not touching your phone, you're not interacting with any messages, you're not interacting with any messages, you're not interacting with any social media, that is completely fine if you're just talking to your friends or if you're just studying with your friends. Now, thank you guys so much for watching this video. It really means a lot that you guys are watching this video, because it makes me really happy that people actually watch my videos. And it's nice because I like really helping people, and that's one of the reasons why I want to pursue that career in the future of becoming a physician. And hopefully everything that I talked about in this video really helps you. Alright guys, I'll see you soon. Bye.